right, welcome back to the Diabolical podcast. I'm Erik Kain. Thank you for listening or watching. Today I've got with me JJ Lugo. Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, my dude? How you been? How you holding up?
I've been good. I've been getting in lots of fights. So
I saw you over here going 12 rounds with like everybody on Twitter. Like,
yeah, that's what I do to keep my wits about me.
I'm just saying,
just gotta piss everybody off, and then get in big fights, and then get really stressed out, and then back off, and then do it all again.
it's like somebody say, you know, that episode of like the Boondocks where they say like once somebody throws a chair, a whole fight breaks out. It's like somebody's throwing a chair every day. Like on Twitter, apparently, but at least you know it makes good like watching material. Like when you're from a distance, like watching, it's like, damn, that's messed up.
I try to be entertaining. Yeah, I try to, like just come look at my Twitter feed for a little bit and
bring popcorn.
Bring popcorn. Bring lots of popcorn. Yeah, exactly. How have you been?
Oh, man.
It was your birthday?
Yes, on the 29th. Yeah, I just turned 33. I had a very chill birthday. I'm having a chill week. You know, I'm not like doing a lot of stuff. I did some stuff because I did a couple videos for YouTube and such, but I'm having a really chill week. I enjoyed that. And again, now we're getting ready to get, ready for July 4th coming up in the next few days. So a lot of cool stuff.
Nice. Yep. Yeah, my birthday was the 20th actually. So we're both Gemini. Yeah.
Wait, the 20th of June? Mm-hmm. Oh, because I'm a Cancer. So yeah, we're in the same month.
That's right.
Because it's like the cutoff was like right there.
The 20th is the cusp of Cancer and Gemini. That's right. I always forget what the dates are with the whole astrology thing.
But we're summer babies.
My daughter's really into that shit. But yeah, summer babies, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was always kind of young in school, like in my grade. I don't know about you, but it was always nice. It was nice to have a birthday in the summer, and I also like having a June birthday because like Christmas comes in December. So as a kid, it was like my birthday, and then 6 months later, Christmas, and I have cousins whose birthdays are like the December 23rd, December 24th. And I always thought, man, that sucks. They get all their presents at the same time, and then they have to wait a whole year to get more presents.
Oh man. It's like at least you got like checkpoints throughout the year where you know you're getting some or something's going down. Exactly. What was cool for me was that my birthday happened right after school ended. So like elementary, middle, and high school, things used to end like right at the beginning of June, like those first few weeks. And then right after that, I would have my birthday and everything else. So it was pretty cool to know that like once school was done, then I could just chill and enjoy my birthday to its full effect.
Oh, you know what else was cool about that? In some schools, at least, I went to a bunch of different schools, but in some schools, if you had a summer birthday, they would put you on the list for like a in-class birthday in a different month completely, so that you could still have your birthday celebrated at school. So then you got like an extra birthday. Then you got like extra birthday, you get a summer birthday. Christmas is nicely distanced. Everyone should be born in June. It's a great month
for real.
Born, I tell you,
it's awesome.
It's the best month, the very best month.
Damn right. I mean, next to Christmas, let's be real. Christmas or the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all that stuff at the end of the year. That's really the best month, like of the year, period. But like June is up there though.
I've always liked Christmas. Some people hate Christmas, but I do like.
I love Christmas
season. Here it doesn't usually get super snowy by Christmas, but I do. I was born in Montana, so. It would get really snowy, and it just felt very Christmassy with the lights out, and the, like just 3 feet of snow.
Oh yeah, dude! Like I had Christmas because I used to live in New York. I was up there for like almost 20 something years, and I was upstate. So not only did we get the white Christmas where I had to shovel snow, to make a little bit of allowance money and stuff like that, but it was like that true traditional Christmas that everybody talks about, where it's like, okay, like especially if you go to the city for like Rockefeller Center during the Christmas holiday, that's the best for that time of the year because not only is there's like so much stuff going on, just the whole atmosphere about it, like it's really like straight out of the commercials, like in real life. It's really that cool. It's really that chill. And even now, well, not more recent because I haven't been to New York in quite a while, but like the last time I went up there around that time frame, like especially the best time to visit New York is like in the fall, like from that September onward, because that's the best weather hands down. But the last time I was up there around the holiday season, it really felt like different, especially, experiencing that as a kid, as opposed to when I got older and such. You start to appreciate that and like really get the full effect of that more. And it's really dope.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm always sad when it's not like really snowy here. And it usually gets, in Flagstaff, Arizona, people think Arizona and they think it's really hot, but we're in the mountains. Yeah. So we do get a lot of snow, but it's usually not until January or February. So I'm always like, I wish Christmas was in January or February. like when it gets really cold and really snowy here, that's when I want all the lights out. It's almost too early in December. Sometimes we're still, we're in shorts and t-shirts in December here. So,
Yo, dude, at
but
least
I
you
do
get
love,
snow.
yeah,
At least you get snow in
yeah,
Florida.
that's
We
true.
don't get snow at all, like period.
Yeah,
So we
that's
get no
true.
white Christmas. Like Christmas on the beach still sounds like a pretty cool freaking thing. I've done that before, and that's awesome. But like you do kind of miss snow at some point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like having four seasons. Like I don't know. I enjoy the summer, but sometimes I find myself thinking, man, I wish it was colder.
Hmm.
Well, it's been hot this year too. It's
Yeah.
been exceptionally hot, and yeah, I'm ready for it to start raining. Like, we get the monsoons here also, and I'm ready for those.
Dude, you could take some of the
Expecting
ones
for
we
the
got in
rain.
Florida. You could take all the storms
Yes,
we've
we'll
been getting
take
in
them.
Florida. We've been getting mad. This whole week we've been getting rain. Like it's just raining for no reason. It's raining when it's sunny out, dude. It's like, what the hell is
Yeah,
this? Like, come on.
I've been in Florida when it rained like that. I remember we went to Disney World and we went to the like Cocoa Beach,
Hmm.
and I remember it was just like really really sunny, and then suddenly it was just dumping rain on us, and
Yeah.
then it was sunny
That
again. I
happens
was like,
all
oh,
the
that's
time down
cool.
here. It's so funny.
Well, send some over to Arizona because it's on fire and we could use
We
it.
got plenty. We got plenty.
So video games, video
Yes.
games. What have you been playing lately?
Oh
That's
man,
cool.
I've been playing a lot. I probably play more than the average person because I try to do like a YouTube review almost every single week. So I try to play a game to
Nice.
completion. So I play a lot of different things at the same time, usually simultaneously. The last couple games I played to completion was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. That's my favorite
Nice.
PS5 game right now. It's the best PS5 game to me right now at the moment. Keep in mind I didn't get to
Yeah.
play Returnal or anything like that. But
Okay.
besides that, I played Guilty Gear Strive. I did a written review for that for Flynn's Arcade, and a couple videos on YouTube for that. Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. I've been enjoying that as well. I've been making people rage quit a lot. There's something about like when you're playing online, and like I know I'm not the best player in the world. I know I'm not Daigo Umehara, I'm not Justin Wong, but I am pretty nice a little bit in some of these games. Nice enough to make someone rage quit, and that's like a euphoric feeling because you got the pretty much the clearance to make fun of them at that point because like it happens at like the most random like crazy times and there's no like rebuttal to it. It's like you just quit because you lost and it's hilarious like every
Right.
single time.
It's weird to me. Why I don't understand the whole concept of rage quitting.
Mm,
Like I just play games to have fun, and like I don't know, I get like a little bit of like good-natured shit talking.
yeah,
But man, people take games they take them so seriously, and the people I feel like who overreact the most, who are the meanest or who just walk away and like take their ball and go home are usually not great players, you know?
yes,
Like
exactly.
if like really good players, they might talk a little bit of shit, but it's usually all in good fun.
True.
It's always the people who aren't that good, and it's like, come on, man, just
A
enjoy
lot of
yourself.
it, again, a lot of it I experienced supposed to be through the fighting game community, through fighting games most of the time. Even though I have gotten stuff like that in games like Warzone, with Call of Duty or even Halo, where again, when you're playing a game and someone just can't take the idea of losing, where they just don't get their way and they start raging out like that, that's usually what encounters a rage quit. However, with the fighting game community, there's like an extra like layer of just like umph to it, like knowing that they were just like because you beat them bad or you beat them bad enough to the point where they got that upset for it. There was time. It was actually happening yesterday. I was playing Tekken 7 for the first time because I had just been playing with Kazuya and Smash Brothers, so I wanted to go back to Tekken 7 and mess with it. And I was just beating this guy's ass like really bad in Tekken 7 online and ranked. And it got to the point where I won 2 rounds, and literally right when the round started, I was still beating him down. That's when you get that desyncing error. That's when you start to when you see that, it's like, oh my god, I think we caught another one today. Like that. It's just really, it's just there's something funny about it. It just starts to get you giddy.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm terrible at fighting games. Like I enjoy them and I'm okay, I guess.
Uh,
But if I were in any sort of competitive scenario, I just don't play them enough. I mean, I've played them for a long time. I think I started with like Street Fighter 2 way,
yeah,
way, 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 way back in the day.
same.
Like in arcades, Mortal
That
Kombat
in
in
Mortal Kombat 2 for
arcades.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I enjoyed them and I've played them ever since. But it's like with some games I feel like I've gotten pretty good, but with fighting games I've always kind of just been a casual. So I'm always fine with getting my ass
And
kicked.
there's
I
nothing
just
wrong
take
with
it for
that.
granted.
Honestly,
I
there's
know
nothing
it's
wrong
like
with that.
whatever.
You see a lot of people in the fighting game community, or even especially online on social media and stuff, when it comes to talking about fighting games, where they don't understand like that's okay to be like that. because I mean, there's
Right.
the whole industry aspect and the business aspect where casual players are the ones that really buy games. They're the ones that keep all this stuff like sustainable, but also just for the fact that they're just there to enjoy it. And that's what keeps your community thriving, because there's always people to
Hmm.
play with online and also in person at the arcades or at events like Evo and stuff. There's always those casual players where you're always going to be able to find a match with someone and then just enjoy the games as a package, as an experience. I think that you get
Totally.
way too many people that want to be competitive and they want to be like, they want to reach that same upper echelon as you see from a lot of these other players that get these accolades and stuff, but they don't understand. It's like, okay, you still got to have fun with it along the way, rather than just like killing the
Right.
fun with your competitiveness all the time.
Uh-huh. No, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are games, right?
For
We're
real.
supposed to enjoy them. They're for fun.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, that's, I think we've seen people that kind of mock the idea that you should ultimately rate a game based on its fun factor. But really you should. I mean, that is kind of the core of what games are about.
Yeah.
Even serious games, right? Even like serious single player games like The Last of Us Part 2 or something,
Oh
which is
yeah,
very
I had a
serious.
I
It's
had a
like
whole thing with that
depressing.
last year. Like the funny thing is that the whole because like, it's funny enough that you mentioned this, because like I was not too long ago having a conversation about reviewing games in general, as packages, because the way I look at it is that there's multiple parts to a game that people will gravitate towards one or the other. But in essence, like you got to look at the entire package. It's like, okay, was this experience, quote unquote, really something that you enjoyed putting the time into? Whether it's
Right.
The Last of Us Part 2, whether it's Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, whether it's Super Mario Odyssey, like it doesn't matter what type of game. At the end of the day, if you enjoyed it, if you like the time,
Hmm.
the hours you put into it, that speaks testament to how good that game and that package is put together. And I think
Totally.
that everybody gets so caught up on these meaningless other things, sometimes stuff that's not even about the game itself, that's like outside of the game. Like when you see some of the reviews of people that are reviewing games and they're dogging these scores over stuff that has nothing to do with what's inside of there. Like what happened to Far Cry 5? Far Cry 5 is a perfect example of stuff like that. Or even Ghost of Tsushima. When Ghost of Tsushima came out, a lot of people were really enjoying it, but then you had other people like criticizing it a little bit more harshly because they didn't want it to get a higher score than The Last of Us Part 2. It's like it's stupid stuff that people get
Yeah,
caught
that's
up on.
ridiculous.
That's like silly.
Yeah. It's like, okay, these are, first of all, these are both PlayStation exclusives. They're
Mm-hmm.
totally different genres, completely different
They
games.
look
Like,
great.
who cares which one gets? They both look great. Yeah. I mean, I personally like Ghost more than The Last of Us just because it's more my style of game. And I
Mhm.
found The Last of Us Part 2 just very depressing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it released at the best time in the world, like for
Yeah.
people who
True.
maybe didn't want something really depressing. But that's a game also, where as a critic you look at it in terms of its overall quality, which I think was outstanding, versus kind of some of its I didn't really care for the story that much, but I can
Yeah.
still recognize that the game itself was really well produced,
True.
and just kind of an extraordinary
You know what the
package all
problem with
around.
that is, though? It's usually a lot of people, and I think most people agree with you and me on that stuff, because I think we both agree on like, the game is good for what it is. It might have not have been
Hmm.
the best game for us personally that year. Like for me, it was either Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, or Final Fantasy VII Remake was for 2020 for me, like that. And
Oh, good
that's
games.
still
Yeah.
testament to how great that year was of all these different games, and Last of Us being part of that conversation for some people. But what you get is that people that sometimes get too caught up on the conversation about games online, especially through social media, that it lets them taint their ability to just sit down and play and enjoy and just take in what the games give
Hmm.
you. Because if you go into The Last of Us Part 2 with all the leaks, with all the craziness, with all the nonsense from like, whether it's Naughty Dog or YouTubers and all this stuff, that's going to
Yeah. So
completely
much drama.
so much drama and crazy stuff that has nothing to do with what the game's going to show you, what the game's going to give you. Like you're already going in
Mhm.
there tainted and stuff. Now, granted, one of the things I tried to do that I did with The Last of Us Part 1 is that I played it far removed from its release. And I actually, with The Last of Us Part 1, I played it, I think it was like a couple months, if not a little bit more after it came out. Because I got The Last of Us on PlayStation 3, and I think that's how I played it, but it was mad late. And then I got The Last of Us Remaster on PlayStation 4
Yeah.
afterwards, and I played it like that, and I really enjoyed that game. So I did something
It's a
similar
great
with
game.
Last of Us Part 2, where I played it like I think it was I think Last of Us Part 2 came out early in 2020 or like mid 2020, something
It
like that.
was June.
June.
It
Oh, it
was
was June.
June.
Okay, so yeah, so mid
Hmm.
2020. I played it like towards, I want to say like December, January of this year,
Yeah.
like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm far away from all this other noise and all these other opinions and stuff, because people still talk about the game, but not like to the extent that it was happening during
Right.
then. And
Yeah.
it's like, I just accepted what the game gave to me. And I'll tell you right now, I still think that it's a technological marvel for the PlayStation 4. It's a
Hmm.
great game as far as like making a game look and seem like art, or at least trying to do more than just be an experience where you could just sit there and play mindlessly. I think that's good. But if you're talking about the best games of the year, like what does that really mean to me personally? It's not going to always line up to what everybody else says.
Sure. Yeah, it can't, because I mean, ultimately, there's so many subjective factors. What you enjoy is going to be radically different from what I enjoy or somebody else enjoys,
Definitely.
and that's okay. That's why it's so great that we have so many games to choose from. Too many games to choose
There's a
from. It's
lot.
like
Never enough time.
overwhelming the number of games. I know.
Never enough time.
I was just talking with the developers of Darkest Dungeon, which is going to be one of these podcasts here in the coming weeks, about how when that game came out in 2015, I think it came out in early access, there were a lot of games coming out on Steam, but just compared to, now, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, every year there are so many more games, and it's so hard to keep track of them. I remember back in 2015 or 2014, 2013, in that period, a new indie game would come out and like you'd know about it. FTL comes out, Darkest Dungeon comes, you'd hear about it, you'd know about it. Nowadays it's like, holy shit, I can't keep up with all these games.
There's not enough
And it's
time.
great because there's something for everyone, but like as in terms of like actually, it must be hard also for a lot of these developers to even get any sort of attention.
Just to find a good
ear of the
release
press,
date,
to get
to find the best
Mhm.
release date and the time frame where
Oh yeah.
that's like got to be a huge show, especially for AAA does. But I can only imagine for indie does, because like you got to watch out for all the big games that people are going to play. You got to watch out for all the games that people are going to download, whether it's the eShop or even on Steam,
Mhm.
through Greenlight or Early Access, whatever else. Just going through the headache of just looking at a calendar and really realizing
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like pick your poison almost. It's like there's all this,
Yeah.
like your whole entire calendar can be filled up because there's so many freaking releases. And by the way, that's not even taken into account when certain games just blow up for no reason, like Among Us. Among Us
Mhm.
came out mad early, I think it was like a couple years ago, and then just blew up because a random YouTuber that was popular played it and everybody else caught on to it afterwards. Like that. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with Five Nights at
Yeah.
Freddy's. Same exact thing.
Mhm. Or Valheim
Yeah.
has gotten huge, and yeah, there's and it's impossible to predict. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how good the game is. It is a combination of factors, of quality, of just luck.
Yeah.
Luck is
Luck,
huge,
really.
right? I mean, timing, luck, all these things that you really can't control. And then it's like, and then as someone trying to cover games, it's very difficult to keep up with that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's it's a good struggle to have. But
Mhm.
I'm kind of always in this state of perpetual feeling like I'm behind on everything.
No, honestly,
It's like,
I relate
well,
to that.
there's all those games, and I haven't finished those, and I haven't finished
I
that
relate to
one,
that.
and I played.
Like I
Yeah,
said,
I think a
this.
lot of
Mhm.
people do in this business.
The
I
thing
think
is
it's pretty
like
common.
I mentioned earlier, like I haven't even played Returnal yet, and that was technically the first
Yeah,
real PS5 game that people could really play before
it's
Ratchet
a
and Clank.
really cool game too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think you really should
and
because
even on
it's
top of
neat.
that, keep in mind, like I haven't gotten a Series X yet, and there's still games I want to get ready to play because I know towards the end of the year we're gonna get Halo and stuff. But then you
Mm-hmm.
look at the Nintendo Switch, there's all the other like Nintendo first party games, which especially being a YouTuber where sometimes you don't always have that access to like different publishers to give you games and stuff or PR to do so. That always adds up on top of that with money. So that also dictates
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people's buying decisions, or at least their content making decisions over time over the course of the year. So I think at some point you just got to come to peace with it and just like make a decision like, okay, this, and this is what I'm going to play. This is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm going to review. And that's what at least what I'm going to do for most of my year. Because keep in mind also, I think a lot of content creators and a lot of other people forget, just because you're in the business like that doesn't mean you always have to play every single game and make content about it.
Right,
There's been games I've
it's
gotten.
impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. Like there's been certain games like Fire Emblem Three Houses, big game for a lot of people on YouTube and stuff. I picked
Mm-hmm.
up that game and I just played it on my own time. Like I didn't want to sit there and
Yeah,
go through the process of making a review on top of everything else like that, because sometimes
yeah,
it's
you
just too
got to do
much.
that too.
Yeah.
Playing games for fun, even you think that like as reviewers or YouTubers, content creators would always be having fun with everything they're playing, but sometimes it's
Oh hell
not.
no.
Sometimes if it is for work, you're just like,
Dude, I had
okay,
to review
I
Shenmue
try
3.
not to.
I had to review Shenmue
Yeah.
3. And I was one of the few people during that launch when it came out that was the only person that's saying this game is horrible. This game is bad. Dude, I remember looking online and seeing people give this game 9s and 10s. I'm like, you guys are not playing the same game I'm playing right now. Cause like the game broke on me. I remember like a couple
Huh.
times. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the hell is this? But you still got to like haul through that. in order to like, give it its due and at least try to play the game to completion. But there's like multiple instances where that's happened to me and I'm like, I just do not want to play this at all.
Yeah. And I'm terrible because I will just give up. If a game's not catching me, I'll often just be like, nope, not good. And I think that my goals right now as, as a reviewer are just to at least write more impressions pieces, even if I'm not doing full reviews, because, there are people who who come out with very in-depth full reviews, and I will do that once in a while, but I just don't think I have the time for
You
it.
know what it
I think I'd
is?
rather play more games and create more like, is the first couple hours this game fun or not? I don't know.
You know what it is that I think also people seem to forget is that when you're doing a review, or at least in the way that I was taught, the way that I've read and learned over the years and stuff, because I think that one of the biggest assets to me was looking at this guidebook that was done by Dan Stapleton for the IGN reviewers. That he has, it's like this Bible of like how to do reviews, and it's like their style guide for stuff. And one of the
Okay.
things that he says in that, and I thought that was very poignant and actually very good for people, was that you don't always have to mention every single thing. Only talk about the stuff that
Right.
really impacts you and stands out to you, because it's one thing to be super detailed, and that's great in some instances, but just because something is there doesn't always mean that it has a great impact on you. Like if the music didn't really gravitate towards you, you don't have to put like this whole 2 or 3 paragraphs about the music selection
Right.
or a
Right.
rant on it. Like that's just ridiculous. I think a lot of people tend to forget that, even especially in the YouTube space when they're doing videos on it, because obviously they want to hit that, watch time and all this other stuff. But even then, sometimes they'll just get caught up on stuff that just like, okay, I get it. You don't need to linger on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And every review, and that's another thing. There's so many different types of reviewers and styles of reviewing, and then people want different things out of their reviews. One reviewer might talk more about story, or might talk more about how a game made them feel,
Yeah.
or another might go into every little nitty gritty thing. And there are some that are so detailed, it's kind of insane. And they come out with 3.5 long treatises on on a video game. And it's like, that's not for me either.
Yeah.
On either end, I won't make a video that's 3.5 hours long, and I won't watch a video that's three
Yeah,
and a
that's,
half
that's
hours long.
overkill, dude. Like Angry
But
Joe,
some people
Angry Joe
love
gets
it,
like an
right?
hour, and like something he hits that like hour mark sometimes, and it's like, okay, I get he's
Yeah.
got skits and the whole thing like that, but he's pretty darn detailed. When you start getting beyond that
Yeah.
point, that's like Jesus Christ, like it's
Yeah, and as a
insane.
writer first, like for me, I've always been taught economy, right? So cut back, cut back, cut back.
Trim
Just
the fat.
only put in what, trim the fat. So for me, it's like I think my Last of Us 2 review is one of the longest I've written, and that's probably about as long as I'll ever go on a review.
You-
Now,
you know
I
what's
didn't
cool?
I didn't make a video about that, but
It's-
it was
it's
pretty long.
It's funny you mentioned that, because you know what I think is really cool that I don't think a lot of people really think about. I always felt like learning how to write, and especially write articles, write editorial stuff, helped me become a better video producer or video creator, because
Right.
I feel
I'm
like
sure.
writing the scripts and stuff, learning how to actually write editorials like that, you come up with some of those same principles that you apply to writing those editorials, you put into your script writing. And I think a lot of people just don't like realize that. You get a lot of people, well, they do great content and stuff when they write their scripts and stuff, they just never really cared to or wanted to learn how to write first of all. And I feel like that's just like neglecting a huge tool and a huge asset in your arsenal.
What's funny is I think it works the other way also, like as someone who's mostly just written things, and then a lot of my YouTube content is just extemporaneous. I just sort of talk off the top of my head. But as I've started to write a couple different scripts for YouTube where I read them out loud,
Yeah.
I'll then change how I write. So it works both ways. Like it's helpful to learn how to write, and then it's helpful to read out loud what you've
Oh,
written.
of course, yeah.
Because then you go back and you think, well, that doesn't sound natural. Or that
Yeah,
doesn't
like how do you
sound,
naturally talk? Like how does this sound when you say it?
Yeah.
Like, if it sounds awkward, then change it. Like I've always
Right.
heard
And
that when it comes to writing.
Yeah. There's such a difference too when you're writing and all you do is read it, but when you say it, it's a whole thing. It's pretty interesting as I get back into YouTube and just sort of experiment with that process.
Yeah.
Which I feel very much like a novice. It's funny, like I've written for years, but going and writing for YouTube is a whole new thing that I'm just sort of just barely getting
It's like a
into.
muscle. The
And
more you
it's a
do it, the
full-
better.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better.
Yeah.
Like I learned that when I first started with YouTube years ago, it was the same thing, because my older YouTube videos are terrible. Like they're whack. Like I look back at them now, and it's like it's true for every single person. Like you look back at your older work and
Yeah.
you're like your worst own critic, but you also see the progress with it because you pick up little things here and there. But you also get really creatively good at finding different ways to make things work in less time, which I feel like is a huge asset for people. The more that you do it,
Totally.
like that.
What's really fun is when you go back on some older work and you're like, oh, this is actually good.
Yeah, or you
You
can
know,
iterate
there's
on it.
yeah. Because I mean, for a long time, yeah, everything I'd go back, a few months and read something, and I'd be like, oh god, that was terrible. How did I put that out there?
It's like, what's
And
this
then you
garbage?
go then yeah, and then later you go back and you look at something, and you're a little scared. You're like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna read this. It's gonna be terrible. And you read it, and you're like, oh, it's actually pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
there's a typo though,
Yeah, right.
motherfucker, typo.
Start becoming your own editor, start like just taking out lines and stuff. I've done that a
I
couple
am my
times.
own editor, man. We don't have editors at Forbes, so I've been my own editor for a decade, which is a challenge, but also very
Super
freeing.
helpful, I
Just to be
think.
able to,
I think it's super
yeah,
helpful
and
because at times, like I've had myself in positions where I've wanted other people to read my work, but there won't always be somebody there to give me like the extra pair of eyes
mhm,
stuff. So I'm kind of just forced to do it. And it's like, okay, you know what? I
yeah,
might as well just learn and just do that on my own. So that way it just makes things go smoother.
yeah. And the whole process, writing is such an interesting thing because it doesn't sound hard, but it is. Like, sometimes I'll be able to write it's like the words flow out of me
Yeah.
like a river, and I'm like, yes, everything's going great. And then other times I'll sit there and it'll be like running up and running face
That
first
happens to
into
me
a
so
wall over
much.
and over and over again, and it's just like you just got to stop when it's
You
like
gotta
you
walk
you
away.
can't push through.
You got to walk
Yeah,
away because in all honesty,
if
I've had times
yeah,
where I'm trying to write a review. Like I played a game. I felt like I felt like I've gotten what I gotten out of it and stuff. And I go to write and stuff and I just can't put the words together. So I'll just like go walk
hmm,
around for like an hour or something or go do something else.
yeah,
And later that evening, then it'll just hit like that, like a bolt of lightning. Like you just sometimes just got to
yeah.
walk away.
Sometimes you need some exercise. Sometimes you just need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to just write something else in
Eat.
between.
I like having
There's
after
yeah,
eating.
eat exactly, eat and then go to bed, and then yeah, no. Exercise is one of the big ones for me.
Yeah.
I always feel like my mind is repaired when I really work out hard, and so I've been trying to do that a lot more. And like yesterday, I just could not get anything that I was pleased with, and then I went to an Orange Theory class, and I got my ass kicked really bad, and then afterwards I was like, yeah, I'm ready to write. I'm
Came
ready to
back out
produce
as a
some
Super
content.
Saiyan, ready to write.
Yeah, which lasted for like an hour until my body was like, no, you're fucking tired. Go to bed.
That's
Go watch
hilarious.
TV.
Oh man,
That's the trick. The balance. It's always about balance, right?
definitely.
What are you looking for? There's quite a few games on the release
Hmm.
schedule. Are there any titles that you're like really excited about or that
I'm
people
trying to
should be
think
aware
like
of?
off the top of my head, like ones that I know are like coming soon. Like there's a few that I can think of immediately. Like No More Heroes 3, I think comes out in August, which is a big deal for a lot of people. Because for me personally, I've reviewed all the No More Heroes games on my YouTube channel, and I want to continue that trend, doing that for all the people that have watched those videos. But then you got stuff like Skyward Sword HD, which I think is in like 2 weeks
Hmm.
the time we're recording this. So
Yeah,
I never
it's coming real
sat down
soon.
and fully played through Skyward Sword. So I'm definitely gonna probably pick that up and just play it, maybe do stuff with it for YouTube or whatnot. But I know like down the line, like obviously I want to play games like Halo, but I got to get a Series X first, to play Halo Infinite if I can find one.
Although you can play, it's coming out on Xbox One, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't have an Xbox anymore. I used to have an Xbox One when I was
Oh,
anymore,
okay.
but I ended up getting rid of it because the Xbox One that was a launch Xbox One, and it was like starting to like to
Hmm.
wear
That's
down
terrible.
after years, of like using it and
Hmm.
stuff. But like there would be games like that. I mean, I was hoping for certain games that were pretty big that people were talking about and stuff that were gonna make that like end of the year, that quarter four, but ended up getting pushed out to 2022. So obviously like God of War, Horizon, Forbidden West, stuff like that, which I know I'm gonna want to play. And now there's even talk about a Ghost of Tsushima sequel, at least down the
Oh no,
line.
yeah,
Or the,
they just announced the director's cut.
yeah, that too.
Did you hear about that
Yes, that too. With the new island,
with the new island? Yeah,
which
so that's going to be a lot of new content, which I'm excited
there,
about.
there's a lot.
That was a great
Yeah,
game. I just
yeah, it
yeah,
was.
and yeah, that comes out August 20th, so
Hmm.
that's right around the corner. PS4 and PS5. One thing I never really got into is the multiplayer on Ghost of
I
Tsushima, but
mean, either
I
I
need to
never
do
cared
that.
for it.
But
Like that's the thing. That's like the
yeah,
Mass Effect multiplayer. Like I know a lot of people like that for
yeah,
whatever it is. Like
I never
those are
liked that.
games that I just feel like they're just so to me they just stand out as single player experiences. It's like if I was
Yes.
good after I played Ghost of Tsushima, I didn't want to go play the multiplayer. Like I was just like I don't care for this. Like there's other games I want to
Yeah.
play right now, but like I feel like I'm good with this game.
Well, there's other games that are multiplayer focused that are just that I've already got my multiplayer fix
Yeah,
pretty much. So like I got to play Ghost of Tsushima or Mass Effect Legendary Edition or something like that. I just want to play the single player campaigns, and if I want to
mhm,
play multiplayer, I'm going to hop into some Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War
yeah,
or some Fortnite or something like that
yeah.
because that that's just what I enjoy. Destiny 2, maybe, although I am pretty
I played
rusty with
enough Destiny
Destiny.
2. Oh my god, dude! No, because I was part of the review cycle with that, where it was like we went through the whole thing of like reviewing the game early and just playing that, and then doing all the DLC over all those years. So that was a lot of freaking Destiny 2. I was like, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't need this game anymore. Like, I'm done with you. Like, it's too
I have
much.
a lot of friends that are in the same boat. My brother was a really big Destiny 2 player, like obsessively so, and now none of them play it.
Dude, that's the only
Like,
reason why I
just
never got into Anthem. I never got into Anthem. I never got into a couple other games that are very
mm,
similar to it. Even Avengers. Like, I played the beta for Avengers and I saw like how similar it was to Destiny 2 in some respects. There was
yeah,
a lot of stuff pulled from it. And there's other problems with that game. There's other things of why that game didn't really like click with me. But it's like, I had enough of that fix of that style of multiplayer game of like looter shooter or whatever. It's just like it's just enough. Like, I wanted to play
yeah.
something else. I felt like I was yearning for something else.
No, I hear that. Yeah, the looters are not not my real cup of tea. It's just you have to. What I don't like about something like Destiny or some of these games is just the need to constantly stay up on the game.
Yeah.
Like if you take a break, you find yourself like feeling really behind,
Yeah.
and that's not. I never really enjoyed that feeling. Like, oh crap, I got to catch up now. I got to like play this game a ton to catch up. I guess that's why I like Call of Duty, because it's like it doesn't
It's
really
just quick.
matter.
You just drop in,
So
drop
you
out.
just get in, you play, and then yeah, you unlock things, you unlock attachments, you unlock guns, but it's not really that important, and you just do it as you play. You don't have to like do anything extra
Mm.
or
It's convenient.
but it's also kind of the other thing is who, if you have friends playing games, if you've
True.
got a squad in one game, you're going to play it more than this other game. So that, especially with something like Destiny 2, playing with randoms,
Oh, hell no.
is it's risky, man. It's fucking
hell,
risky because it's like,
hell no.
yeah, you get to the final boss in the strike and it's like, oh, great.
Dude,
Well,
trying
one
to
of our
do the
guys just
raid
dropped
with
out and
randoms
now
is
we're
the
screwed.
worst.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
worst
No.
thing to
Yeah.
do ever. Like, the problem is, I never really liked the raids too much, even though they were very cool and there's like awesome. When you have a great group of people, those are awesome.
Yeah.
However, like with the raid specifically, I feel like if you don't do them, you're missing out on a huge section of the game. But also,
Hmm.
if you're forced to do them at some point, you have to get paired up with randoms. It's just not going to have that same level of experience. It's not going to have that same chemistry
Totally.
that you would get with people that you would know, that you would want to coordinate with and stuff. And I really hate sometimes with games like that where it almost requires you to do that in order to get like the full experience of them. It just feels like, you're
Hmm.
just gatekeeping a certain element of this game away from certain people who just can't do that for one reason or another.
Yeah. And that's a tricky balance to strike because, for the people who do raid in that game, it's a major component of what they enjoy about the games. But for a lot of people, it's never going to be really accessible or
Mm,
doable. And I don't know if there's a way to make it more accessible. Just the nature of those raids, they're so in depth and they really require teamwork, and it's just
yeah,
never going to be. And that's too bad. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm fine with it in the long run because at least some people are really having a good time.
true.
And I can do other things. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, Halo Infinite. I
Mhm.
am looking forward to that. That one's been a bit controversial. It's
Yeah.
interesting when they first showed off the gameplay reveal. I was like, cool. It looks like Halo, but a lot of people were like, it
It,
looks like shit.
yeah, I don't
And I was
understand
like,
that. Like, people were saying
yeah,
that game looks like
okay,
trash. Like, I saw the screenshots, I saw everything that everybody else saw and
yeah,
stuff. I get it, but that game didn't look like trash. Like, let's be real for a second. Like,
no,
there's certain games out there, like the freaking Dark Alliance game that came out recently, that Angry Joe just recently reviewed.
yeah.
That's a game that's trash, but not solely just because of how it looks and stuff. But like, you can really tell immediately when a game is trash or when it looks like trash. And I think people throw that term around too loosely.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that Dark Alliance game. It's just too repetitive.
I heard
I
it's
think is its
buggy,
biggest
like really
problem.
bad.
It's buggy. It's repetitive. It's just it needed more time. It needed
Mm.
a little more love. Halo Infinite. Yeah, I think it looked. I mean, it just looked like
Look like
another
Halo.
Halo game. I think people were expecting. They were expecting something that looked a lot like more like flagship next gen game. And I get that,
Mm.
but I think I'm still the kind of gamer who's just way more interested in how it plays than how it
Yeah.
looks. I mean, I like graphics. I love the new Demon Souls like remake because it just looks so damn good. But is
Yeah.
it any more fun than the PS3 Demon Souls?
It's
Well,
the same
it is,
thing,
but
really,
only
when you
because
think
of
about
certain.
it.
There's certain like quality of life improvements, like being able to send stuff to storage that make it more fun. But it's not because it looks better.
Hmm.
It's just I mean, I guess the frames are better too. But really,
Yeah.
like my experience playing Demon Souls on PS3 and my experience on PS5 is very similar because it's really the gameplay that does it for me. And so Halo, what I want from Halo Infinite is just for it to not be Halo 5, because Halo 5 was had a really bad campaign.
All I want is
Multiplayer
the same.
was
I want the
fine.
same vibe that I got when I was playing Halo 2 or Halo 3 back in the day. That's all I want.
Or
Like you
the
could do
original Halo.
or the original Halo, like just that fun factor that you got, which is why I think that we got a lot during that Xbox presentation where they were showing the multiplayer, that they were showing it a little bit
Yeah.
more than anything else. I think they were trying to maybe convey that a little bit, but that's
Mhm.
all I want. Like, I mean, they could do whatever they want with the story. I'm not too deep into the Halo lore, like with all the crazy stuff
Yeah.
from all the spin-off games and the novels and stuff. But like, I do love playing Halo multiplayer, and I do love playing Legendary co-op with my brother or like whoever else. Like that stuff is always going to
Yeah.
be fun to me. So as long as they give me that type of vibe and that type of experience, I'm good.
I am feeling pretty optimistic about it. I think the delay was smart. I think that they're giving themselves enough time to actually put out a polished product, and not just, I'm sure there was the temptation just to get that launched with the Xbox Series X.
True.
But I think then we would have had, another
Cyberpunk
2077.
I think something. It's funny
like,
enough. I think a lot of games that are going to be coming out over the next like year or so are probably, a lot of them are going to take more delays a little bit more often than what we see because of what happened with that game, or at least noticing the
yeah,
reaction to that. For real,
that would be smart. Yeah. Let's see. There's Battlefield 2042,
I
which
saw that.
looks
Looks
pretty
cool.
sweet.
Looks pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge. I'm more of a Call of Duty player than a Battlefield player when it comes to like
Same.
the military shooters. Just because I never cared for the gunplay as much.
Mm.
Just like you're on these huge maps, and it just never feels quite as tight or as intimate as like a smaller,
Yeah, that's true.
6v6 or 2v2. But they're still fun, and this one does look like it's going to be, that near future setting looks cool.
And those like crazy like instances like with the tornado stuff. I hope those aren't like determined like pre-scripted events. Some are they're a little bit more dynamic
Right.
than what they might seem.
Yeah, like Sim City. Like remember in Sim City, suddenly you'd have like the tornado come through the town, or like the Godzilla would come up through the town.
Just
and
randomly.
That would be cool, and just a random like weather events happening that were different every match. That does sound pretty sweet.
Yeah.
What else is coming out? We've got Elden Ring that comes out.
I'm not
in
huge.
January.
I'm not huge into Elden Ring. I know there's a lot of people that are excited about this, and those are really the people that love the soul style games. I've been open about how. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. The one that's kind of like really easing me into this was Jedi Fallen Order. Was that, and also
I really
Sekiro.
that.
And I had a lot of fun with it. Like I really dug it, not just as a Star Wars fan, but like really opening up a little bit more to that style of game. But like I'm still like I know that Elden Ring is going to be a big deal for a lot of people, but for me personally, it's like okay, that's cool. Maybe I'll get to it. That's how I'm feeling. Like at least at the moment.
Well, you're a terrible person. I'm just kidding. Jedi Fallen Order was that was such an interesting game because of course it was Respawn.
Yeah,
and they had made the Titanfall games, and they're behind Apex Legend, and of course those guys founded Infinity Ward and Call of Duty, and so here you had all the shooter, different kinds of shooters,
really different for them.
all in that, and then suddenly. It's kind of like when Guerrilla came out with Horizon
after Killzone,
which after Killzone, then boom. I guess I wasn't huge into Horizon. I found Horizon Zero Dawn. I feel like it suffered from some of the same things that like The Last of Us does, which is just you have to pick up too much shit all the time. I'm kind of sick of that in video games where you're constantly having to pick stuff up and craft things. Pick stuff up and craft things.
That's a Sony game thing. Like honestly, like multiple games are from Sony on PlayStation 4 and even PS5 are like that. Like God of War has it. I think. What is it? Ghost of Tsushima has it. Like so many. Like,
Ghost of Tsushima does it better. I think it improved on like almost all those sort of Sony ticks, but like with The Last of Us, like why do I have to pick up two different items and then craft them into a med kit? Just give me a med kit.
Yeah, exactly.
like, I don't need to spend my time doing that.
At least mix it up a little bit more. Like a little bit more than that.
Or maybe give upgrades or something. You can craft a better med kit. I don't know. Or just have the crafting be for like in Far Cry they have you can get different craft better pouches and stuff, like can hold more stuff. I don't know. I just feel like there needs to be, Ubisoft is terrible about just wasting people's time.
Yeah. There's so much stuff to do.
Busy work.
Right?
It's too much. I've been talking about Mafia. They came out with the remake of the
Mm.
original Mafia game. Did you play that?
No, I didn't play it because I'm not into Mafia as much because again, it's like one of those style games. It's like a little bit more open world. It's got a little bit
Yeah,
like GTA to it. Like it's just I'm not. There's too many games. Never really got to it.
yeah. What was interesting about Mafia though, and I hadn't played it when it first came out, so it was my first dive into it. But it's very much like GTA, like a GTA 5 or something.
Mhm.
It's with mobsters, and but there's just like no side quests. There's almost no little side things to do. So you've got the open world that you can drive around, but there's not like 1,000 icons on the map to go and
Mm.
do shit. So it's actually really linear, and I kind of loved it because of
Mm.
that. Because it was like you got that same feeling of driving around the city, really cool, like period cars and buildings, and but you didn't have to go like solve a bunch of different quests on the way. Like you just followed the story, and that was really cool. And
Maybe
like
maybe
I think I want more games like this.
maybe like to me like when I see that and again having not played it like do you think maybe if they probably had a little bit there like maybe it's a balance thing of just being an overabundant overbearing amount of stuff to
Mhm.
do that's just like insignificant maybe there was just like a little bit there to give that world a little bit more life to it that seems like it'd be like a really nice balance for something like that or at least probably make that
Yeah.
experience better.
Well, I think that going back again to Ghost of Tsushima, that it did strike a pretty good balance. There was a lot to do, but it was all done so creatively.
And you
Like
could
the
get around
side
easy
missions,
too which is
you could
great.
get around easy, and I loved like how the wind would guide you places,
Yeah.
and little things like the fox would pop up and guide you
Hmm.
to the little shrine. Like those were not things you necessarily had to seek out or that like took over your time. It was just like, oh, there's a fox, I'm gonna go follow it, rather than, oh, look, there's a billion things to go click on the map. And then like side missions all had really good stories
Yeah.
that you could follow, like
I
one
felt like there
piece
was
at a
some
time.
significance there. Like it wasn't like just
Uh-huh.
it's not like in Assassin's Creed where it's like you got all these flags all over the place and they hardly do
Uh-huh.
anything, or like
Exactly.
all these random assassinations you got to do and they don't mean anything. It's like okay, at least
Right.
there's a little bit more there for putting that time into it.
Exactly. Exactly. You make the content, and same thing like in Witcher 3, I thought that game went a little overboard with all the different little side things that you could
True.
do, but some of those side missions were the
Dope.
best content in the game.
Dope.
Yeah.
Like really
I
good.
still feel like they could have pulled back on some of all that side content so that it wasn't quite so ubiquitous and overwhelming, and just focused on those really good side missions instead.
Mm.
But I think this is the experiment with open world games. As soon as we started going open world, everybody went crazy, and there
True.
was just huge open. They're like, this world is 400 times bigger than Skyrim, and there's 1 billion quests to
That's
do,
the
and you
Banjo
will
Tooie.
probably never
That's the
finish it.
Banjo Tooie effect where the world just got ridiculously huge, and it's just like, oh
Yeah,
my
just
god,
bigger and bigger. And it's like, maybe we don't want it that much bigger. Maybe we just want it more
nicer.
dense and more, yeah, nicer. Yeah, like how about it like a prettier, uh, denser world with more interesting things to do rather than just more things to do. I
Hmm.
think, I don't know, maybe maybe a lot of gamers do just love. What I don't love is that I do feel like a completionist when I play games.
Hmm.
Like it's a weird obsessive thing that I don't necessarily want to do, but I feel like I have to do. And so when I'm in a game like that, I get that sort of gamer's block where I'm like, nope, there's just too much. I
You know
can't
what's
do it
funny?
all,
It's funny
and
you
I'm
say
gonna
that.
stop.
It's 100% funny that you say that because Ratchet and Clank does this perfectly. I realized that I ended up completing that game without actually wanting to do that, and I just did that just naturally, where I just started getting all
Mm,
the little bots or getting the bolts in order to buy all the weapons or finding all these other like little hidden things to upgrade my weapons. I just did that just naturally, with the need to do it like that just grew over time without actually like putting down as like, okay, I'm going to devote time to finding all the golden bolts or I'm going to devote time to getting all
yeah,
these extra things. And it was just like, before I knew it, like my entire game was like 100%. And I was like, okay, this was pretty cool to do that.
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not very far into that. I've really enjoyed it so far. I mean, I loved Ratchet and Clank back on like the PS2.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite games. And then there was the sort of remake on PS4 that
Hmm.
was really great. And this one, the one thing at first in the game, and I think I sort of got used to it. The only complaint I have so far was that, I mean, it looks gorgeous and it's beautiful and
Yeah.
there's so much going on, but sometimes there's so much going on that I'm like, I'm it's too much.
There's
It's
certain
too much
planets
going
that are
on at
too big.
once.
There's certain planets that are way
They're too
too
big.
big.
Well, and there's just so busy. There's so many things to look at that like bad guys will be
Hmm.
attacking me, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old or something. but bad guys will be attacking me, and I'm like, I can't even see where they all are because there's just so much stuff. It's so
There are certain
detailed. It's so
planets where I feel
busy.
like that, like there's a lot of empty space where it's just clearly just going from point A to point B. Like I think it's Sargasso,
Yeah.
which is like a huge planet where you get these like jet boots where you just start going in like different directions, exploring and stuff. And there's like just these wide open spaces where nothing's going on there for a while.
Mhm.
And even though it looks gorgeous, it does look beautiful as far as like the sense of scale and like some of the stuff that you see far off into the distance that look great. But like I'm with you, like, okay, like maybe this is just a little bit too big. I'd rather take some of the smaller stages like you get in some other areas
Yeah.
of the game.
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate for level design. So any area where it feels like there's been a lot of care taken into designing an interesting level to explore, you know, uh, that I prefer to bigness,
Hmm.
and again, that's one reason I like the Dark Souls so much is that it's not quite open world. There's so much care that goes into level design.
Yeah.
And because I guess maybe that's just old school, like growing up with games that are more linear
Mhm.
with or like Metroid or Castlevania, where the levels themselves are so intricately put together, and then going to open world where it's just like it's just open, like it's not a level, it's just a
Like you got
field,
freedom, but it's like that freedom just doesn't always have something significant for you. Like it's just
right.
like,
You're not.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like the first time I played Dark Souls, and I sorry, I know you're not into these games, but there's the opening area of the Undead Burg. You fight your way through this level, and it's very difficult when you're not used to the games. And you finally get around to this ladder that you kick down, and it takes you back to the beginning of the level, and it becomes a shortcut
Yeah.
that you can just skip all that. And it's so brilliant. It's like holy shit! Like I can just
Now I
climb
can
up
save
this
this
ladder,
headache
and I'm over
for like
here,
an
and I don't have
hour.
to do this part that I died at 20 times, and it's just brilliant. And you don't see that in like what we consider open world games because they're just open and you can just fast travel or
Exactly.
something. That's not as interesting to me or as satisfying as a level design that lets me unlock a shortcut, and that's essentially fast travel, but it's
Yeah.
fast travel built into the fabric of the actual level design. And
Mm.
I love that about those games. I wish we had more of a focus. I wish that I hope that, not really wish, but I hope that as open world continues to evolve, that sense of level design and worlds that are crafted vertically rather than just horizontally,
Mhm.
are more of the
I
emphasis that we
feel you.
see in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, something like Ghost of Tsushima really has evolved the open world experience for me and made it much more enjoyable and organic
Definitely.
feeling as
Same here.
well.
I just like the way it was presented. It just felt good to go through that world. It was just awesome.
It did. Well, I mean, I would just ride around on my horse in that world. I didn't
Yeah.
even care if I was doing a mission.
In
It was just like,
the
holy
fields when you
crap.
got the wind blowing, that just
Oh
looks
my
beautiful. I
God.
remember seeing that, like what they did during one of the PlayStation conferences where they had that same layout in that huge field that you see in a lot of the trails and stuff. That just looks beautiful to me. And then seeing it in
It's
game
so
running at like
gorgeous.
60 frames, it's oh my God, it's gorgeous.
I, I think the takeaway from all of this is that anyone who hasn't played Ghost of
Play it
Tsushima yet
now.
should go play it, get the director's cut
Yeah.
on PS4 or PS5 and play it because it's phenomenal, and it makes me want to go there. Not really fight Mongols necessarily, but go
And just
there
chill.
and live on one of those mountains and with the hot spring
Oh
and
yeah.
just sit in the hot spring and write haikus all
Or
day.
just play the
Like that
flute,
sounds like
the little flute.
yeah, play the flute, write haikus. And I like also how how you can bow to everyone. I feel like that should be incorporated into American culture. Uh, we if everyone was bowing to everyone, we might get along better. And especially on Twitter, everyone should be required to bow to one
Just a little
another
like
and just
thank
be
you, like emoji.
respectful. Yes. Like we disagree, but I still respect you as a human being, and I'm not going to treat you like a piece of shit
Not on
instead.
Twitter. Oh my
Not on
God.
Twitter. Well, cool. Can you let us know where you can be found online?
Sure. I'm in a bunch of places, man. Like I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/gamers with gains channel. I post up new reviews every single week, highly edited, highly produced video reviews, unboxings, let's plays, whole bunch of stuff, a lot of gameplay previews and even podcasts as well. I'm also on Twitter at Jakejames Lugo. I'm on there every single day, talking about stuff, interacting with people, interacting with you as well. Like a whole bunch of stuff, man.
Mhm.
I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Jakejames Lugo. I put up exclusive content on there that's complimentary to some of the stuff that I put up on YouTube. Again, exclusive podcasts, early access to new videos. And I'm also on Twitch and Instagram, twitch.tv/gamers with gains, and also Instagram.com/Jakejames Lugo.
Awesome. Well, I'll put links in the description, and I really appreciate it. And we'll have to talk again. Keep going over. I like this, just talking about games and what's
Yeah,
coming out, and you play a lot, so that helps me out too.
definitely, man.
But yeah, thanks for being on.
Anytime. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Awesome. And thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week.